All right, guys, welcome back for another episode of the A Better Me Equals a Better We podcast. I am your host, Trey. So excited to be here with you guys and talk about another interesting topic. This topic was actually thought about from a video that I saw online concerning compatibility. So this episode number 28, is going to be about compatibility. So what better people to talk about compatibility than a married couple, right? We're going to talk about compatibility tonight. And I have two special guests here with me to talk about this and share their opinions on the topic with you guys. So without further ado, Anthony, Tiana, can you introduce yourself for our viewers and tell them just a little bit about yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Tiana.
Hi, Anthony, and a little bit about ourselves. We have a training company called Patient Grind, where she ran track and I played basketball. And the idea was to put it together, to help youth sports, and just to help out and give back to our community.
Dope. Super, super dope. They're being very modest. They're not telling us much about themselves, but it's all right because y'all going to hear all the tea. Y'all going to hear all about them. This is one of my favorite couples. And again, Patient Grind Training. So you guys can follow them on Facebook, facebook.com/patient grind training. And then also on Instagram at patient.grind. And then you guys can see what they're doing with the youth. They're really doing a great job of not just training the youth, but also motivating them, teaching them life skills, and so much more. AAU teams, the whole nine, right? But you guys will see all of that again. Instagram, Facebook, Patient Grind. So this week's episode is about compatibility. Again, there was a video that I saw where there was a gentleman that was going really in depth on the aspect of compatibility and some of the things that go into the relationship aspect of compatibility. And one of the things that he talked about was how your type, right, or your preference, so to say, can be dressed as, well, he used the word demon, right? Your preference can be dressed as a demon, and you can say like, okay, I want a guy that looks like this, or dressed like this, or have these particular features, or I want a woman that looks like this, or acts like this, right? And it can really be something that's not for you, right? So I'll start with you, Anthony. Do you believe that your type, so to say, can be a trap?
Yes, it can be because if you're just looking at the physical aspect of someone, you won't really know who they are until you really get to know them. You can't judge nobody by how they look, how good they look, or how bad they look. It's by their actions and what they do on a daily basis. So yeah, I think it's a bad thing to actually try to pick a type based on physicality.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of times we see that, right? Where people say things like, I only date light skinned women, or I only date guys that are over 6 feet, or he got to have a beard. If he don't have a beard, then what I mean, like just things like that. He have to dress a certain way. He got to have a certain swagger to him, right? But what about all of the other things, right? So Tiana, I'll ask you this: like, do you believe that, like, should most people reevaluate like what their type is based off of what they want in life?
I think so, and I think that people should be more open-minded because so many times people go into relationships with, a certain quality in mind, and it turns out that that's not that person. Um, so to be open to someone who has to grow more into the person that they may want them to be, and open to realizing that the person that they may want them to be may not be the best person for them.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And that's, I really like the fact that you said that, like, because it's like one of those things where you say, like, all right, this is what I want, or this is what I think I want. But now when you get that, like, it might not necessarily be like what I thought it was, or what it should be. So for you guys, and either one of you guys can answer this question, how was it for you guys, right? Being a married couple, like how was it for you guys in the sense of, I know compatibility, or the look aspect of compatibility plays a part, right? You know, they always say don't judge a book by the cover, but the first thing we see is the cover, right? So of course there has to be some sort of attraction, or in that whole thing. But how was it for you guys, in the sense of like, okay, I know that I'm attracted to this person. This may be what my preference is. What boxes were you guys looking to check, before you said, okay, this is what I want to do?
Yeah.
Um, I think that I think that the major part was that we both had to grow in many different areas. Um, and I think like the most standard thing for us was our beliefs. Like if we believe in the same thing, we can make it work, because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, relationship is work. It's not like love is going to get you through. Like you have to actually work through it.
Right.
And if you don't believe what I believe, then it's not going to work out. So I think that was the main focal point.
Hmm. Yep. Yeah, it came down to our faith. Our faith brought us together, and you only get one chance at a first impression. And our first impression was, sharing our faith with each other, and then that grew from there.
That's dope. That's dope. So when you talk about first impression, right? For you guys, what was that first impression like, right? Like, was it like guy meets girl, hey, how you doing? What's your name? Like, my name was such and such, and I believe in this. Or was it something that was progressive, right? Because I think sometimes when we look at videos like the one that I referenced in the preview to this episode, right? Where people talk about your type, possibly, you're a demon being possibly dressed as your type, right? When we talk about stuff like that, you don't sometimes you don't really notice that right off the bat, right? Like sometimes it takes some time, some interaction, right? So how long did it take for you guys to kind of discuss that, right? Because I just want to make sure that like the people that are viewing, they understand that, okay, like you can have a type, you can meet somebody that fits your mold, but it might take a little bit of time before you're able to really undress that or unpack that and see if this is something that you really want. So how long do you think that, or would you guys say that took in order for you guys to, share that with each other, and see like, okay, this is what I'm really on?
Um, it didn't take long. I think for us, it didn't take long because um, we met and maybe spoke for like about a week or maybe two, or not even a month.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And we started dating, and I was like, okay, well, if we're gonna get any deeper into this, let's try this Bible challenge out. We're gonna read this book for 30 days. We're gonna go a chapter a day. We're gonna break it down each night. So that's what we did within the first, I mean, I think by the second or third month, we went through the whole book already.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
just so that, and if you wasn't down to read the book, then you wasn't down for me. So
And
it was just that option.
it's funny that actually drew me closer to her than anything, because I knew where I was going spiritually, and I just wanted someone else that was going to help me elevate and that I can help as well. So
Right,
when she was like, "Hey, let's read Proverbs together," and it's a book of wisdom, and I was like, "Hey, man, this is dope, man. Like she's
right, right,
pretty, she's African, and she believes in Christ, man. That like that, I won already. I already won. So
right. Like, what more could you ask for, right? And
that's
my the dope part about that is this, right? And you guys, I've said this on previous episodes, like you guys know where I stand as far as beliefs. I'm unapologetic about, my beliefs, right? But even if you're somebody who may not believe what I believe, right? Or you may not believe in certain things, right? One of the key things that sticks out to me is stating your values early, right? Because now it helps you decipher from something that could be wrapped in what you like, right? It helps you decipher from a person that may look the part but may not be the part, right? So stating your values early and saying, listen, this is what I'm with. You either you either down or you not, right? I had a friend, we had a little, I know most people, like when they go to work, like you might have like a work buddy or whatever, right? I had a few work buddies, right? We had like a little crew or a clique or whatever, and we would go to lunch together, take lunch at the same time, right? And we had one friend literally go by each person's desk, like if they clocked out late for lunch, and she would just look over like, you rolling or you folding? Like what we doing? You rolling or you
Mhm.
folding, right? And that's funny, but in relationships, I think so many times we don't do that. Like, right, like we just feel like, all right, tall, dark, and handsome, I got it. Like, or curvy, nice hair, or how they said it in House Party, good hair, deaf body, right? Like,
oh,
right, like I'm running after that, right? But we don't ask those other questions that come with that, right? Like, well, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you be this for me? Can you be that for me, right? You rolling or you folding, right? And we can't just leave it just strictly on the surface, because that's how you encounter these people that may not be for you, but they may be wrapped in your preference, right? Um, when we talk about compatibility, again, when I use the term compatibility, I'm talking about the surface, because again, the video that we're referencing, he was talking about the surface when he talked about being compatible, and somebody being like you guys being each other's preference, right? So when choosing a partner, do you guys feel like that compatibility is enough, as far as like, you fit the description of what I want, you fit the description of what I want? Is that type of compatibility enough?
I don't think so, because what you want always changes.
Mm,
Um, and a lot of
mm.
people look
You
at the
skipping
sun
that? You skipping ahead,
card.
sis?
A lot of people like to look at the whole zodiac sign thing, and because it says Cancer and Scorpio is compatible, we're supposed to be together, or because I want this, this is what who's compatible for me.
Mm,
Um, I think um, I don't think compatibility is a thing.
yeah, because if I could piggyback off her, we don't agree on a lot of things sometimes throughout the days. Like we butt heads a lot, but we know that we respect each other, and and we just know that we have that same foundation that we can always go to. But to piggyback off her, yeah, like the compatibility thing, it's yeah, I
yeah.
agree.
So now when we look at compatibility as something that might be deeper than your preference, um, and I love the fact that you said that you guys don't agree on everything, right? You guys have been married 2, 3 years now.
Coming up,
Coming up on three.
yeah, yeah.
Coming up on 3 years. I was in the wedding. That's how I know that. I'm excited. I'm excited, chill, chill. Let me be great. All right. So with you guys being married, right? And then of course being in a relationship prior to that. So you guys have been together, longer than those 2 or 3 years. And saying that, all right, listen, we don't agree on everything, right? And even in the comments, right? You guys are watching put in the comments like, now that we realize that compatibility may be deeper than your preference, what do you guys feel like compatibility is? Based on saying that, all right, we don't agree on everything, but we're married. Like, we got married because we feel like we're compatible, right? So what would you guys say to the viewers? Like, what is compatibility?
Ooh. Um,
I might need to get the Webster's dictionary.
I think compatibility. I think you can be compatible with many people. You can be compatible with your coworker. You can be compatible with your teammate. You can be compatible with different people. Um, but I feel like at the end of the day, if your coworker does you wrong or if your teammate does you wrong, you're not committed to that person to be like, well, this we're compatible, so I'm just gonna work through it. So I think compatibility is a looser term.
Hmm.
And it's just
It,
like, oh,
yeah,
he's nice, she's nice.
yeah. It's
We're compatible. We could be friends, but
she.
we can't be more than that.
She actually said it like it's commitment over compatibility, right? Like when
Mm.
you wake up, when you wake up, you might not like the person you wake up to every day, but you
Mm.
made that commitment. Like, okay, what I'm gonna love you through thick and thin. No matter if we mad right now, all right, I'll go to another side of the house for a little bit, get my breather, and we'll come back and meet. So compatibility, I feel like, for lack of
It's
a
like
better
the
words,
chemical
yeah,
reaction.
a chemical reaction. Yeah, it's like a childish
Mhm.
thing, like puppy love. Like, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Someone that loves on just emotions, right?
Mm.
Like, because emotions every few seconds. So I love you now, and then you treat me wrong. I'm gonna hate you a little bit
Each one
later,
has a
or love
definition.
you less.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Thank for sure.
I,
The
I I
definition.
I
Yeah.
love that so much, right? And then Tora said in our comments, I love that commitment over compatibility, right? One of the things that I want to talk about when we talk about commitment over accountability, right? Here's the monkey wrench I want to throw in there, right? Do you guys think it's possible that someone can be exercising these things that are good, right? Commitment over compatibility, right? um but be doing it with someone that they or they should not be compatible with.
Want me to go first?
Can you repeat that one more time?
So do you guys believe that there may be people that may be exercising commitment over compatibility with the wrong person?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of being like unequally yoked.
Or like
Mm.
love is blind. Love has been so blind for so long.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It's kind of like domestic abuse. Survivors, they stay in a relationship for so long that they don't realize that they're being abused, and they think that they're
Mm.
compatible, and it doesn't. So it's like coming to the realization, um, which people come to it at different times in their lives, to realize that this is not the person. All the words he swindled me into believing, and this, that, and the third, is not, it's just not going to work out.
yeah. I like what someone just said. People try to force genuine connections every day by ignoring red flags.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is always going to tell you who they are straight out their mouth, and you have to believe people when they tell you who they are. So if Tyrone is X, Y, and Z, and he looks good, but he's not right for you, and you're ignoring those flags because he looks good, then in the end you're gonna wind up being hurt because you were ignoring the red flags. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And again, like you guys said, there are people, or even in the comments, right? Like people try to force genuine connections every day by ignoring red flags, right? And then nowadays, like we got that thing where it's like red flag, right? Like they doing that in the comments and stuff like that, right? But have you considered if you're the red flag, right? Like at what point?
And
Go ahead, Tiana.
people people know the red flags and won't run from the red flags. Like they want to
Mm,
test the. So yeah,
Listen,
it's
like some things I don't want to learn from experience. I'd rather learn from someone else's situation so I won't have to go through the same pain that they went through. So if I know that I'm the red flag, and you'll know, like deep down, people know who they are and what they're doing wrong and what they need to fix. So
mm-hmm.
if you know you're the red flag, hurt someone, that's someone else's child. I wouldn't want someone to do that to my child, or to my mom, or to my sister. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Treat people the way you want to be treated. If you know you got to fix something, then fix you first, and then you can help somebody else.
That's a fact. And you know what's so crazy? Shatora just put in our comments. People think they can change someone. I think that's one of the biggest things that people run into when their preference is or where something that may not be for them is dressed in their preference, right? Thinking that somehow, okay, this is my preference, so I have one, two, three, four, five boxes checked. It's 10 more boxes that need to be checked, but I got enough checked. I can change this person and make them into everything that I want them to be. Like, again, you guys being people that have said, listen, till death do us part, we're gonna be together. What would you guys say to that? Like as far as the idea that you can change someone.
um I mean, it's not build a man workshop. I mean, or build a woman. I think that if the foundation is there, it could work, but you guys have to be, you can't change someone's foundation. So if
Mm,
it's their foundation that you change, um, then it's an automatic no go.
Yeah, it's like trying to drown a fish.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like you can't change someone. You can help people grow. You can't change someone unless they want to be changed,
mm,
right? Like you can't overcommit to someone's will, like because as people, we don't want to be forced to do something that we don't want to do. You got what I'm saying? So you got to meet people where they are. And if that person don't want to change, then all right, kudos to you. I gotta move on.
right, right. And I love this comment that Natalie put in, and I'll call her Nikki because we have another Natalie in the comments. She
Hmm.
said you can't change anyone, but even if you do change them, they will low key lose themselves. And I think that sometimes that's an underrated thing that happens, right? Where you try so hard to make someone be what your ideal person is, your preference is, and then before you know it, if I'm that person on the other end, one day I wake up in the morning, I'm like, who the heck am I? Like, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And that by itself creates so much conflict, right? Because you just don't know. Natalie said in our comments, I agree, Tora. We think we can change someone. I've said it before. The only thing you can change on a person is their diaper, right? Like, that's it, right? Like, you can't change people, you can't change anyone. That's just the way that things work. Like, we can't change people, right? um Nikki said in our comments that changing someone for the better as far as cutting bad habits is okay, but trying to change someone to fit what you want is actually a red flag, right? I think that that's good, right? In my personal opinion, how do you guys feel about the idea of saying, like, okay, you may have a bad habit, you may have something that's going on, I can help you with that, versus saying I'm going to change you completely.
I mean,
I think changing a bad habit is fine as long as both you're both acknowledging. So the person with the bad habit has to acknowledge it to change it. I think the person that's trying to change the other person can't be the only one to acknowledge it and try and
Hmm.
get them to change.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm with you
I
guys.
agree. Before before you actually try to change someone else's habits too, you got to look at your own habits as well. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be
Self
hypocritical and
acknowledgement.
saying you, yeah, you got to make sure you check yourself first.
Mm, okay, okay. So now when we look at certain things like compatibility, right, and understanding that compatibility is something that may be further than our preference, right? When we talk about people being compatible with each other, do you guys believe that compatibility is season based? Like it can be something like we can be compatible in year one, but we may not be compatible in year two, or we can be compatible in January, we may not be compatible by December.
I think it's season based.
Hmm.
It could be season based,
Yeah,
which is why it's not a long time commitment thing because it is just a seasonal compatibility.
yeah.
Hmm.
Compatibility. That sounds like a dating word. Like you just searching, okay, I'm compatible for this person for this season, and then maybe I'll find someone next season. Like, it's yeah, it's not something that you could stick and be like grounded, and you gotta make that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
And that kind of that leads me to my next question, right? When we talk about compatibility being season based, right? Um, the person in this video, I need to find his name because I definitely want to give him credit, right? But the person in this video, he creates an illustration where he says there may be someone that you may be compatible with, and they may be compatible with your rock bottom, right? But they may not be compatible with your season of success, right? So we may only be compatible when because people use the term like I need somebody that could be there for me at my lowest and stuff like that, right? And you might be able to be there for me at my lowest, right? But when that season is over and now I start to level up, as people would say, right? Sometimes things might change, the relationship might change, and now you might feel like the compatibility is off, right? So you guys, can someone be compatible for rock bottom but not for your season of success?
Um. Yeah. I think so because like some people's ceilings are high and some people can't deal with how high that someone's ceiling is, right? Like I will use us as an example. Her ceiling is high and she stretches me to be better. Like she was
Mm,
at step A a year like a year ago while I'm on another step trying to catch up. Now that I feel like I'm finally catching up. Now we're kind of on the same page. So in regards to like hitting like rock bottom, it's two sides of the same coins because some people will leave you when you hit your rock bottom. Like I can't deal with
mm,
this. Like if someone has a sickness or something, oh, I have my own stuff to deal with. Like you know what I'm saying. So some people, so I feel like being with someone that's hit their rock bottom and growing with them and with their success as well. That plays a key part. Like you got to see me at my best, and you have to see me at my worst.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Any thoughts on that, Tiana?
No, I agree. I think it also goes back to the commitment thing.
Yeah,
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I think you said it all.
yeah. Okay. One of the comments that Natalie put in, right? And this is one of the things that I believe is that I think we grow in different directions and different levels. You cannot give 50-50, you have to give 100. We all have different seasons in our lives, right? For me, I hear a lot of times people may have accomplishments and they post things, right? With the social media era, right? You got the people holding money to their ear, and showing their cars and their houses off and stuff like that, right? As far as just saying like, oh, I'm on a different level, right? Like we not on the same level. Me personally, I believe that yes, there are different levels, but there are also different lanes, right? So I can't be on the same level that you are because we're not, let's say, for example, in the same profession. So you're in a different lane than I am, right? So yes, you are here, right? But I can't get to where you are because let's say, for example, I make clothes and you're a trainer, right? Like you get what I'm saying? Like, how can I try and be on the same level that you are? I have to be on that level within my lane, right? How important is it that when you're growing together with somebody, right? And we talk about rock bottom or a season of success, right? I think a lot of times we don't think about stuff like this when we talk about compatibility in relationships. Is making sure that your partner either they're in the same lane or a lane that is compatible with your lane, right? Because if you're going right, like far right, and they're going far left, you guys are going to continuously grow apart. Versus if you guys are working in two different industries that may bring you guys together, but you guys are still in separate lanes, that can still work out, right? So how important is it that making sure that your partner, when we talk about rock bottom and success, how important is it that making sure that whatever lane your partner is in is something that's compatible with whatever it is that you're trying to do?
Um, I think it's important to realize how your partner reacts or responds to your failures and your successes, because like misery loves company. So if they're at rock bottom and you reach a success and they're miserable that you reach that success, they're gonna
Resentment can
right,
grow.
yeah, resentment can grow. um so I think it's important to pay attention to that. um
Yeah,
yeah, I
I
think those
agree. Like comparison is the thief of joy,
Mm, mm,
right? She's better at like finances, for example, than I am. So it's like where I lack, she compliments. So if
mm-hmm,
we're gonna use the word compatibility, you should be with someone that really helps you where you may fail and where they may fail. You can elevate each other so that way it's equal. But
mm-hmm.
there's no hierarchy, and it
Yeah.
should be equal.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with that 110%. And I really like the fact, Tiana, that you said like pay attention to how they react to certain things, right? I think sometimes we like for me, I see people say things like, "Oh, if your friends don't clap when you succeed, like that's something you need to pay attention to." How about if your partner don't clap when you succeed, right? How about if your partner doesn't look at certain things that you're doing, right? Like you may be excited about something that you just created, and they like, I mean, all right, that's cool. Like you get what I'm saying? All of those little things have to be taken into account when we talk about, compatibility, right? Um, do you guys think that um, people in this season, um, or that are in that season, right? As far as like they may be in a season of rock bottom, right? Do you and let's say we start dating, right? Or you guys start dating and one of you guys is in a season of rock bottom, or you guys both might be in a season of rock bottom, right? Are people in this particular season, do you guys believe that they're really compatible? Or do they just share a similar dysfunction?
I think it's a season that they share a similar dysfunction. So they're compatible for this season because they share this dysfunction.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And once one grows out of that dysfunction, the other is left behind. And now you're no longer compatible. It's like the circle of compatibility.
Yeah, she said it. She said it all with that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I for me, I agree 110%. I think that there are times where, let's say, for example, I'm an alcoholic, I might be a drug addict, um I might be procrastinating, right? I might be in the season of procrastination, right? And we both procrastinate. Let's say we co-workers, right? We met at work, we both call out of work together, right? Like every time we both don't feel like working, I can just call you like, yo, you feel like calling out? I feel like calling out. Now we calling out together. And then maybe one person might get an epiphany like, yo, I can't keep calling out. Like I need this. Like I'm tired of being this. I'm ready to level up. I'm ready to be here. I'm ready to do this. And the other person, male or female, might not be ready to do that. Right? Like they might be saying like, you know what, I'm still ready to call out, right? And then now the other person might be looking at them a little funny based off of that. Um, as far as that goes, right? I think sometimes in some situations, especially depending on the length of the relationship, sometimes people feel bad. Like when and the person that did this particular video, he used the illustration of like, I got my wings and you still crawling, right? Sometimes people feel bad for that. What would you say to that person, like as far as like feeling bad for now changing your mindset and moving in a different direction from rock bottom?
Probably just let it go. Like using the scenario that you said, um, further than that person deciding to continue to work. Let's say that person got a promotion,
Hmm.
and now your manager still sitting at sales employee. Um, a lot of times that sales employee would get bitter to say the manager, because now we were supposed to be on the same page, but now you decided to level up without me. Now I'm mad at you. So I think that mindset is toxic. And for instance, the manager person, to just ignore it and let it go, because you're moving up the ladder, because of your discipline, your acknowledgement, um, and they're not happy for you. They want you to just stay
Yeah.
down.
That's what that's what the guy in the video said, right? You could be compatible with a demon,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that's something that's bringing you down. It's not lifting you up. So if you're not if you're not clapping for my success, and if you notice, man, if my success came and we're in the same vicinity, your success is gonna come soon too, because we're just in the, you know what I'm saying? So if you're not clapping for me, and if you're not at rehearsal, don't come to the play.
Mm. Mm. That's the one right there. That might be on the playback. That's the one right there. But it's so funny, right? When we talk about people moving up, one being here, one being there. Like, listen, I can't pay attention to you, right? Like if you're not here, like I get it. Like this is just what it is, right? Now you get people that have um it may not be similar habits, but maybe it's similar traumas, right? And I know that Nikki mentioned that in the comments earlier about people having certain traumas that may link people together, right? She said trauma attracts trauma, and I think that that's one of the other things that we see. Like people may have gone through the same traumatic experience, so they relate. And then I might have gotten over this traumatic experience, and then you may not have gotten over this traumatic experience. Um, what would be something that maybe you guys would suggest to someone that it may not be work, but it might be trauma, right? Like I know, and I'll never say a name with situations like this, right? But I know people that have been sexually abused, right? Them and their partner, right? And they share that in common. So now they're like inseparable, even though they're like technically not compatible. Like every other box is not checked, but we share this in common, right? Or maybe you're somebody, you two both have abandonment issues, right? I'm used to people leaving me. Maybe we both grew up in foster care, right? Every other box is not checked, but I don't want to leave you because I know what being left felt feels like, and I don't want to leave you because I know what being left feels like, right? But I do feel in my heart that it's time for me to move in a different direction, right? So what would you guys say to people like that, right? That may be in a situation where they wholeheartedly need to move in a different direction, but themselves and their partner, they share similar trauma.
I think I think it's important to heal first, because now you and your partner are sharing the same trauma and you're both not healed. Um, and that's only going to lead to, that's going to be your excuse to everything. If you're both behind on bills, it's going to be, you guys are both going to relate it back to your trauma. You're going to, every excuse is going to be that trauma because you guys aren't healed from it. Um, so I think that might be a setback, rather than a.
Yeah. Um, like she said, it's just like baggage. Like, you guys are carrying around the same baggage, and you want to empty that bag. So you don't want to keep carrying the same thing, because if and when you do meet the right person, you want to be prepared. You want to be right. You don't want to bring the same thing you went through before to this one and then mess
Mm,
everything up.
right, right, right. And on the flip side, well, as a matter of fact, let's go to our comments. So Nikki said in our comments, I had a friend in which I connected with through trauma, but once I dealt with my trauma, we weren't compatible as friends anymore. And then Natalie said in our comments, they are in an abusive relationship, trapped emotionally. And then Natalie also said, "You're teaching. Healing is the key." And I think sometimes we can't take accountability for ourselves, right? Sometimes I have to heal me. Like sometimes I have to deal with me and what I got going on. Like, and now when you deal with you, that takes you to a different place, right? That ultimately takes you to a different place. So now, based on my beliefs and where my faith lies, right? Like I believe that God has things that we're all created for, right? That we all are destined to do, predestined to do, right? And purpose to do, right? I should say that we're purpose to do, right? How important is it that we look at people not as people that are suitable, I'm sorry, not as people that are compatible, but more so people that are suitable for what our purpose is.
Yeah, you can go.
Um, the person that's suitable for you should be the one that complements you, and like going in the same lane, going in the same direction. Um, what was I feel like you had a two-part question. Can you just repeat it a little bit
No,
more
I was saying,
closer?
how important is it that we don't look at people that for their compatibility with us, but more so people that are suitable for what it is that we're purposed to do.
Okay, so basically, what you're saying, look for the suitable and not for the compatible.
Right, right. How important is it that we do that?
Oh, you see what you're lacking in first, right? And then, as you meet someone and then you ask questions about them and you see their strong points. And if their strong points can help your weaknesses, then this person could be suitable for you to help you.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it comes down to, making a decision, um, choosing to help this person, choosing to be there for that person, um, because I think, in a serious relationship, it is your decision and your choice over your love, because your love isn't going to help the person through whatever they're going through. It might, but the decision to stand by them and continue to help and to be there for them, um, is more than. what that chemical reaction would
Yeah,
do. Like
yeah,
you might get stressed out and love might make you want to leave,
yeah,
but the decision to stay, um, I think, is what makes it suitable.
yeah. Like real genuine love is making a decision. Like she said, it's a decision you make that no matter what, I'm gonna care for you, no matter how I feel, no matter what may be. That's genuine love. You know what I'm saying? Not this chemical reaction, this feeling that you get when butterflies and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nikki said in our comments, real quick, compatibility is not everything. People fall in relationships because they focus on compatibility. You can be compatible at some point in your journey and not compatible in another, or vice versa, right? When you look at stuff like that, and I know you guys are still together, right? But there are things that I'm sure that if there were certain red flags, so to say, right, in this day and era, that you guys would say, okay, I can't do this, right? So what are some things that you would tell to that person that may have been compatible at first, but maybe not so compatible in this season? Like, at what point should that person exit?
Um, I think in today's day and age, we tend to get attached to people too soon. Um, and I think that I don't want to say not to grow an attachment with people, because then it's like you're more cold hearted, but not to grow an attachment with people, especially when you know you may be forcing it, or this may only last for a certain amount of time, like that season of compatibility, because once that season is over, it's like you're hanging on to like split ends.
Mm-hmm.
um, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not sure how to say not to be so attached,
yeah,
but not to let love blind you so
yeah.
much. Yeah.
Can you repeat it for me one more time? I'm so sorry, Trey.
Yeah, no problem. So when you look at people being compatible in one season and they may not be compatible in another season, um, like what is something that you would say to a person where they reach that season of uncompatibility? Like at this point, like it's time to exit scene left. Like at what point should that person like be looking to do that?
Like it's pretty self-explanatory. The red flags. You know what I'm saying? Like she said, don't try to get attached too quickly. Try to feel the person out. Be a little old-fashioned. Make somebody work. For it, man. Make them like get to know them. Ask questions. That's a key thing, man. Asking questions. You get to really understand what the person like whatever happened to asking what someone's favorite color. You get what I'm saying? Like that. What music they like to listen to. Um, just to get a peek of what they think.
Right, right. And what about, so when we talk about people maybe being compatible here, but then maybe not being compatible, at a later time, I think a lot of times, like when we think about it, um, it's more so like in the beginning stages, right? But what if I'm somebody that's dealing with trauma or we're both dealing with trauma for 10 years, right? Like we've been together for 10 years. We done like we're in a near homeless situation and we're grinding it out together and that whole thing, right? 10 years later, I'm here, you're there. Like I would think that it's some sort of attachment after all of this time. Like what kind of advice would you have for somebody like that because I think that's one of the things that we see a lot. It's like we've been together so long, I'm so comfortable with this person, I'm so used to this person. Like people that I know that smoke, right? They say like the hardest part about quitting smoking is not smoking, but it's the habit of smoking, right? Like I'm used to, when I get in the car, I smoke, or when I, walk in a certain area, I smoke, or when I do this, right? But when you've been with somebody for so long, I'm used to your dysfunction. Like I'm used to us sharing this dysfunction, right? But now that my mindset is sort of changing in this direction, and I'm ready to go here because I'm so used to having you as a crutch to my trauma. how do I now let that go and say like, all right, like, I get it, but it's time for me to go this way.
It it depends on like the relationship. Like, are they married? Because you can't, if you're married to someone, that's a commitment. You can't just up and leave, stuff like that. You actually got to help the person because y'all made that agreement.
Hmm.
You get what I'm saying? So it's all based on a relationship. Now, if it's just like, boyfriend and girlfriend, you guys are just dating, whatever the case may be, then you can be like, okay, you can be straightforward with them. You gotta be honest with people. Are you trying to elevate? Are you trying to get better? Because if not, then respectfully, I have to, go in another direction.
I think for the person that's trying to leave, um, but can't really, I think that they kind of have to think of it as like a roller coaster. Um, so the worst part is almost over. You got to go kind of step by step. Like once the worst part is already over, it's like everything's already getting better.
Hmm.
So leaving is, let's say, the worst part, the tip of the roller
Yeah,
coaster. Now
Yeah.
it's only going to get easier. I mean, it's hard, but it's only going to get easier because you're leaving that toxic situation.
yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, based on the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I I'm with y'all on that one. I'm definitely with y'all on that one. And for you guys, how did you guys find a space where I'm pretty sure, like you guys referenced earlier, talking about not agreeing on things every day, not, things may not always look the way that you want them to look and stuff like that. Like how do you distinguish I'm growing in another direction versus we're just not agreeing on things today?
I think it depends. If you can't remember what you were arguing about yesterday, then it was not that serious. But if you can remember, then that, I mean, if it's a constant issue, then it's definitely not something that's just a today thing.
Yeah, I agree. Um, if it's like you said, if you don't remember it, if it's not like something that, then it wasn't worth the time or the argument. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So the last question I have for you guys, and this was the one of the last things that he said at the end of this video, that this gentleman said. He said, your mental health should never be payment um, for a particular situation. So sacrificing your mental health should never be payment for a situation, relationship, or anything like that. What are your thoughts on that?
Your payment should never be.
Your mental health should never be payment. So basically, the question is, you shouldn't put your mental health in jeopardy.
Right, right. You should never put your mental health at jeopardy to be in a
Men-
relationship.
I mean, mental to physical is like 4 to 1. So if you're not here, you can't. I personally, you cannot put that in jeopardy. You can't put your mental in jeopardy because that's who you are. That's who you are. And like we talked about earlier, once you lose yourself up here, then the body is just gonna follow where the mind goes
I don't think people realize they're putting their mental health in jeopardy until it's in
until it's happened.
jeopardy.
Yeah,
Um,
Mm,
of getting out of that. Now you have to get out of it, which is not as
it's
easy
not
as
easy.
it was getting into
so
it.
what's that rabbit hole like? Let's talk to the person. Let's talk to the person that's in that rabbit hole, right? And I like the fact that you said that because a lot of times some of these relationships are addictions, right? They feed the lowest parts of us. They feel like a crutch, the same way that drugs and alcohol feel like a crutch, right? For me personally, I don't believe that someone says, I'm going to be an alcoholic, I'm going to be a drug addict, right? I think that one day they participate in these activities and they just wake up and they're like, wait, like I can't stop. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think sometimes it's like this for the relationships where you compromise your mental health and then one day you wake up and you like, yo, I don't know how to not compromise my mental health. Right. So what would you say to that person that wakes up one day like, oh snap, like I don't know who I am. I can't believe I did this. Like, I don't know how to not be this person anymore.
I mean, you gotta before you before you got to that point, you gotta figure out what you really love to do. Like, let's use sports for an example. You gotta go back to your old stomping ground. Go play a game of basketball. Go play some sports just to try to find yourself again. To breathe. You get what I'm saying? To cope, and then you can try to figure out what went wrong, or talk to someone that you really trust. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You gotta have a tight circle of people that you really trust, and you can get some stuff off your chest and just let them know how you feel. But yeah, getting out of that rabbit hole is not impossible, but it's very, it's a difficult thing to overcome, but it can happen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely tough. And I think compromising your mental health, I think that's one of the things that we see a lot in dysfunctional relationships these days, where people are in relationships that we would call toxic these days, or that we can at a later date recognize as toxic. Like, wait, this is really not what I thought it was. This is really not what I should be in. But again, it's not something that happened overnight. Like, you made small compromises that ultimately turned into a big compromise, and now you're in the space that you're in, and now you got to make the decisions that you make. But ultimately, your mental should never have to be sacrificed in order to be quote unquote compatible with somebody, right? Like, you shouldn't, if you have to sacrifice your mental health, that's basically you saying, I have to be a completely different person. Everything I am, I can't be in order to be with this person. If that's the case, that person needs to be with another person and vice versa, right? Like, if you need to be a
Yeah.
completely different person in order to be with the person that you're with, then they need to be with a person like the person that you're pretending to be. And then ultimately you'll become a version of that person. But when it's all said and done, you won't know how to get back to what you were, and you can't. Like, the hardest thing is to try to be something that you were. Like, once you change, you changed. Like, so now you have to find that new version of yourself and who you are at this moment in time, because you compromise your mental health. So again, that should never be payment for that. Yeah, go ahead, bro. Oh, I can't hear you, bro. I don't know if you guys can hear him. Put in the comments if you guys can hear him. I can't hear you, bro. Okay, I can hear you now.
Now,
Yeah.
yeah, just one red flag from this whole thing is like instant gratification. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Careful of, like, wanting things when you want it right then and there, and just let things play its course. You
Hmm.
know, it's okay to have delayed gratification. Let things happen naturally. So yeah, but that's it.
Mhm.
Facts. Facts. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you guys too long. Like, we're at 9:01. I'm very respectful of everybody's time, and I'm very appreciative of everybody that's tuned in for this episode, because I feel like this is something that really, whether people admit it or not, this is something that a lot of people in the minority, or what people would call the minority community, because as we do our research, we realize that we're really not the minority, right? But what people call minority communities, this is something that we go through a lot, right? That's not really talked about. And when you have conversations like this, I think it kind of makes you look at either a situation that you're in or a situation that you have been in, and you like, wait, yeah, maybe I did that for a little too long. Like maybe I shouldn't have did that, or even situations that you go into, right? It makes you look at those differently. But sometimes if we're not if we don't take the proper time to heal and learn from that situation, we might give the next person something that they don't deserve based off of something, a traumatic experience or PTSD from a relationship that we had prior, right? So it's definitely a real thing. So that wraps up episode number 28, compatibility. Thank you so much for you guys that viewed. Thank you so much for Tiana, Anthony, for you guys joining in with me. um, it felt like it flew by for me, right? Like I don't know about y'all, but it felt like this episode like really flew by. Like I had so much more that I wanted to say, but I feel like it really just flew by. But I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So, do you guys have anything for our viewers before we head out?
Yeah, pretty good, man. Pretty good. Just thank you for having us, man. Really appreciate
Hey,
you.
Nikki.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. You guys know, like even outside of the camera, like family, 110, 200, 100 million%. So I appreciate you guys for being on. Again, like I told you guys earlier, like, patient grind training on Facebook, Instagram, patient.grind. Go and check it out. Like these people are doing like amazing things with kids. As you can see, like they're sound individuals, like they not crazies, and stuff like that. Look, Nikki in the comment, like, "Hey, girl," I had to read it in her voice because
Every
I got
that's
you,
how
so
she said it.
it's
yeah.
in here.
As soon as the camera go off, she gonna be like, "Girl."
Because I know that's how she said it, right? But just super excited for everything that they're doing in the communities, and they're expanding. And this is not the first time again that you guys have heard of Patient Grind, because you guys have seen me on previous episodes with apparel on and stuff like that. So this is not the first time or the last time that you guys will hear about Patient Grind. But just make sure that you guys go and check that out. Really amazing work that they're doing. Next week's episode number 29, right? We're going to be talking about, and this is going to sound kind of crazy, right? But we're going to be talking about baby mama, baby daddy drama, right? Why, for some reason, again, in certain communities that we call the minority community, right? Why is it that for some reason, um, we can't get along, right? And this was actually inspired by a friend of mine. Like he specifically asked me for this, and he said, let's talk about that. Like, why is it that for some reason, you know, um, the children's father, the children's mother, like they can't get along? Like, what's going on that we're seeing such an uptick in that? I already have so many things I can say towards that. I know it's a few people in here that might feel like it's a conspiracy, right? Let's talk about the conspiracy theorists, right? Like it was designed, they trying to do this to us, right? But we're gonna talk about that next week, episode number 20, episode number 29. We're gonna talk about that family and why is it that co-parenting seems to not be working for some people. All right. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys so much. And before we go, just do not forget that a better me equals a better we. I'll see you guys next week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. You guys have a great night.